back from Disney in one. Whoa, and he's got. Look at that. He doesn't even have the mouse ears on. Come on, dude. Show me something. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Kamen, Sean Palmer here. Back Sports Page on StreamYard. Seth has finished his, gallivanting around the country. Goes to Vegas first, then comes back and goes to Disney, which I guess is the Vegas for kids. So I got to tell you, dude, I'm jealous. I don't get to go anywhere. And here
I'm sorry, said the guy who was in like Dubai for 2 fucking weeks. Yeah, nobody's crying for you, buddy.
Nor do I think that they should, but are we crying for Jim Harbaugh? I mean, they have to go. So Harbaugh may or may not be coming to College Park, Maryland this week to coach a team that may or may not beat the Maryland may beat the Maryland Terrapins.
May, yeah, they damn well should.
For the 1,000th win in Maryland in Michigan history, which would be against if they beat the Terrapins. And the argument is that Michigan is having is, in regards to a temporary restraining order, is it would be a shame if Jim Harbaugh missed this. That's a very good legal argument. I'll go with that.
I was going to say, is that what they argued in front of Alito in Gorish?
So defensive line coach Mike Elston said, I think it'd be incredibly disappointing if Harbaugh was suspended Saturday. I believe that of anybody, he's earned this opportunity to be with his team and be part of this victory. For him not to be a part of this would be an absolute shame. So, okay, let's take this down. First of all, it would be awesome if they lost. That's
agreed.
Right? Okay, so let's now, and then if they lose, then the suspension's for 3 games. So if they lose twice in a row, then they can say, "Oh, we waited for you to win the 1,000."
in the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Exactly. So that's number one. Number two, I believe of anybody, he's earned this opportunity to be with this team and to be part of this victory. For him not to be part of this would be an absolute shame. Well, for any team that played against you that didn't have the tapes of you on the sidelines, it would be an absolute shame that they don't play in a fair game. Look, this takes place all the time.
Yes.
Right? The rules are rules. And if you want to say that the guy I really didn't have a problem with him being in the stands. That didn't bother me so much. I know it's against the rules and all, but you could buy a ticket and go watch a game.
Sure.
Not the same as you would on TV. I don't have a real hard time with that. I start having a hard time with this when that guy was found on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think everybody has that feel to them on it.
Yeah, so for those that are unaware of this, I don't remember the guy's name. Here it is.
Taylor
Stallions. It is a perfect name.
It sounds like a porn name.
Yeah, well, all he needs is the mustache.
There you go.
Connor Stallions, former staffer, reportedly bought tickets to all these future opponents of Michigan and sat in on the games, which I did not know was not allowed, quite frankly, and I don't see any real hindrance to it. You watch game film, why can't you watch it live? I don't really have I don't have an issue with that. But then there were pictures found of him on the actual field behind Central Michigan's coaching staff. And that's where I kind of lost it, where I was like,
yeah,
I can't get on the field. How'd that guy get on the field? And
well, he was what do you call it? Wasn't he not a Green Beret, but like he was
he's a Marine.
Navy. He could figure out his way to get onto the Minnesota sidelines.
I guess, but I'm kind of like that. Either that is a lapse, very big lapse in security. Well, it is a big lapse in security, unless he got a pass somehow to Central Michigan's sideline or Minnesota's sideline. I'm kind of like, eh. All right. So it would be a shame if Harbaugh is banned for the 1,000th win. First of all, it's not a shame. Suck up and deal. And number two,
And there's thousands of people dying in the Middle East. It is not a shame. This is not a shame.
I was going to say it's a shame that Jim Boeheim lost like 300 wins for something that, quite frankly, everybody does these days. And Reggie Bush lost a Heisman for what everybody does these days. Those I get. But this being a shame, nah. I'm not there with this at all. At all. I'm kind of like, if they win, they win. I really don't believe that a coach on Sundays really matters as much. Or Saturdays. I think the fact that he's coaching them during the week is far more important than just coaching them during the game. I mean, Harbaugh is no better or worse of a game coach than anybody else. I don't. And if you're playing a team like Maryland, not to say Maryland's bad, but
we've stunk the last 6 weeks. You don't need
Maryland's bad. Look, we can get into Syracuse-Pittsburgh in a second, which was the most obnoxiously funny game I've ever seen in my entire life.
I know nothing about it.
Well, this is awesome. Then you will be the first time you're hearing about this will be amazing. But yeah, I don't see them losing this week. The spread is 19. The over-under is 50. Seth, I don't think you have a prayer, quite frankly, whether or not Jim Harbaugh is on the field.
I agree.
So, does it really matter? All right. So you didn't see any of the Syracuse-Pitt game. You've heard nothing about it, right?
I didn't even know they played.
Okay. So they played at Yankee Stadium.
Was it
you were going to go to the game.
Why were they playing in Yankee Stadium?
No, the Syracuse gave up a home game to play at Yankee Stadium. We have done this before. So Syracuse passed the ball 8 times.
Who are they? The Giants?
Wait, it gets better.
Is Tommy DeVito their quarterback?
It gets better.
Okay.
One of the passes was by a running back, so that's 7. One of them was by a converted quarterback turned tight. 5 of them were by a converted quarterback turned tight end, Dan Villari, a transfer from Michigan. Their starting quarterback, Garrett Schrader, attempted 2 passes the entire game.
This was Syracuse, not Pittsburgh, correct?
This was Syracuse, yes. So 2 passes, 5 yards. The entire Syracuse offense had 17 yards passing. Now, the best part about this entire thing is Garrett Schrader goes 1 for 2 for 5 yards and threw a touchdown. So his QBR is 91.4.
I'm confused. Why? Was the weather that terrible?
No, because Schrader's been hurt, and they ran the ball 66 times.
Is it that Dino Babers doesn't want to watch you guys anymore either?
Wait, 66 for 382, an average of 5.8 yards per carry. Now, the kicker, remember, we earlier talked about Garrett Schrader, the starting quarterback, and Dan Villari, the quarterback turned tight end. The rushing leaders were Dan Villari, the quarterback turned tight end, who played in the Wildcat almost the entire time. He had 17 carries for 154 yards, an average of 9.1 yards per game per carry. He's from Long Island and played at Yankee Stadium. There could not be a better homecoming for this guy. LaQuinton Allen ran 28 times for 102 yards, and Garrett Schrader, the quarterback, who threw twice, ran 14 times for 96 yards, or a 6.9 average. Basically, Pittsburgh just couldn't stop the run, and we weren't about to pass.
Did you win?
28-13.
Congratulations. Are you bowl eligible?
One more game this week in Georgia Tech.
Are you going?
I am going. 8 o'clock game. We have a night game. It's going to be like 40 degrees in Georgia.
Oh, you soft Southerner, you.
I got a sweatshirt. I'm good to go. I gave away my starter jacket, my Syracuse starter jacket, the huge thing that I used to have. I gave that away. So I have to claw out the gloves. It's going to be like 40 degrees out. Yeah, I'm going. A bunch of Syracuse people are coming down for the game, I think, and we're going. And yeah, I mean, look, we could be bowl eligible. You guys are bowl eligible. You're 6-4, so
Yeah, that really
maybe we'll
that
play each other in the
massive
Alamo Bowl or
13-10
something
victory
along
over
those lines,
Nebraska.
or the bowl that's in Shreveport. Oh, Seth's got, or the bowl that's in Shreveport. I don't know what bowl that is.
Isn't that the Independence Bowl?
I don't know. I thought so. Hold on. Shreveport Bowl game. There is the Independence Bowl. Yeah, so it's the Independence Bowl. I wouldn't mind going to Shreveport. We can meet there on New Year's.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife will be thrilled.
If you take both kids, she won't care.
What would Morgan do at a football game?
We give her pom-poms. You know I'm right. She would be fine.
She would be fine if I gave her her iPad.
She
could make recipes and draw in color.
So okay. So since we're also on the social scene here and involving in our lives, since last week we talked a little bit about my social life, it's back to you and yours. How was Disney? Tell me what we need to know about Disney. What was the best part for you?
Disney was fun.
Okay.
Did
you go to all the parks?
Every park.
Okay.
So there were some things that we got to do we didn't get to do last time because the kids were too young. Yes. So we got to do the Indiana Jones Spectacular.
Nice. I love that. Wait, were you one of the volunteers?
I was not. But I was volunteered on the Monsters Inc. Laugh Factory. Because I have a big head. So
big head.
I do. Thank you, Jughead. So it was fun. I mean, I don't love it like the kids love it, or or Carly loves it, which she does. I don't want to go back for a couple of years, but it was a nice trip. I'll take a second mortgage on the house for the amount of money we spent on food. But other than that,
favorite park, since you went to all of them, favorite park.
Animal Kingdom's really neat. Epcot's fun. They're all good. Hollywood Studios is terrible.
Really? I liked Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios to me is a waste.
To be fair, you probably weren't going on all the rides, given that.
Right, but I'm also not a Star Wars guy.
No, I mean,
that's where all of Star Wars is.
You go on Tower of Terror, like you go on the roller coaster, like.
Right. You have to remember, I'm with a 7-year-old who's scared of his shadow.
That's a good point. You should have a
5-year-old and a 5-year-old who took a stroller.
Can I suggest watching Peter Pan?
They've seen it.
And he's still afraid of his shadow?
Yeah. Not of his shadow. I mean, he falls 87,000 times. He's a bit of a klutz. I love him. He's a great kid.
He's a Caymans. He's a bit of a klutz. He's a Caymans. Okay, so all right, so Hollywood Studios a waste. Epcot had booze, which is helpful.
Except I was sick the entire trip. So how much booze are you going to drink? What are you going to drink when you have a fever and you're got crap running down? So
Wild West, it was always whiskey. So that solved all problems.
Yeah, says the tough guy who didn't drink until his 30s.
32.
I mean, 32. So I am a beer. For those of you who don't know, I am a beer drinker. That is really all I drink.
Belgian.
What?
You can have a Belgian. They have Belgian throughout.
You a Belgian, but when you got shit dripping down your throat, it's just not as enjoyable.
It's also like $24 for a Belgian beer. But
oh yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay. But the different countries are cool, and Morgan found Figment, which was kind of funny.
What's Figment?
And Figment is like this 1980s character that Eric Idle, the old Monty Python, plays the doctor, and Figment is the imagination, and you have the train of imagination.
I have never heard of this
because it looks like it's from 1982.
Oh, it's a dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it's like claymation.
Right. So I mean, they're like Ratatouille ride is fun. The kids love Frozen. Well, my son does too, which is, I guess, okay. I mean, Under normal circumstances, yeah. Thank you for showing Figment.
Figment.
So, at the end of the day, Disney Magic Kingdom is great, and we went on. My kids are not ready for roller coasters. They're just not.
Did we do the princess tour?
Yes, Morgan did the princess tour. And there are pictures which I could show. Hold on. Let me see if
we got as your kids grow up, the audience of audiences needs to see this.
Here is my son.
Oh, we had it right there. Stop right there. Wow, he looks petrified of his shadow right there.
No, that's his smile because he's an awkward 7-year-old. So
that's a good picture. Stay. Yeah, that's a good. Hey, he lost some teeth.
Yeah,
good for him.
So that's him driving a car.
Oh, okay. Wait, did you go on Cars? Was Cars a thing, or is that just California Adventure?
We didn't do the car. We did the Cars thing last year. Last time was terrible. But there is a place where the kids can drive the cars. We just handle the gas. So, and here is Morgan.
Oh, she is a cutie.
She is a cutie. And then for those of you who haven't seen my wife, because let's be honest, no one cares about my wife. And then there's us.
Oh, look at you guys.
Yeah. So Carly loves Disney because it reminds her of her parents. Jake enjoyed it. Morgan loved it. It was a good trip. I'm glad they had fun. It's probably good to be back.
Well, just in time for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. So that's a thing. What is it, next Thursday?
That's a thing. That is next Thursday. That's a thing. Yes, it is. For those that have worked continuously for the last 3 weeks, yes, that is a thing.
Oh, you've worked continuously.
I have. Look, I am
happy. So bad for you.
Look, I am thankful to have a job, especially with all the layoffs that have been going on.
So, should we kind of do our mid-year review? Should we do our baseball? We did our baseball. We could do our mid-year fantasy review or mid-year football review.
Yeah, let's do it. So, all right. So NFL.com. So we are in our fantasy halftime, right, of all times. And I think the one thing that if you have to take apart from this year is all the injuries. I mean, we've been as our team has been completely decimated by injuries, but every team has been decimated by injuries, not even fantasy-wise, just in general. Like you look at the AFC East. So let's just start there. So Miami has Jalen Waddle right now, iffy going forward with a knee. They lost Devin Arcane for 4 games, and he's coming back, who was averaging almost 7 yards a carry.
Yes.
I mean, and they're still 6-3. You have Buffalo, who lost Matt Milano, who may be the best middle linebacker, certainly in the AFC East. And yes, I put him above CJ Mosley, which is hard for me to say. But Milano is you want to know why Buffalo's defense isn't performing?
Well, didn't Tre'Davious White get hurt again?
Yeah, they lost White and they lost Milano. And then you have the Jets, and you have the Jets. By the way, I'd like to point this out. Again, let's go back to April of this year, before the draft, when you asked me a very simple question. If you had your druthers, who would you have as the starting quarterback for the Jets in 2023? And what was my response?
Josh Allen?
That was available. It was CJ Stroud. I said
you did like CJ Stroud.
I did not want Bryce Young. I did not want anybody else. For the love of God, when is the last time the Jets had a guy that can make all the throws? I just want a guy that can make all the throws. And Giants don't have one either. But when was the last time the Jets had a guy that can make all the throws? And I'll tell you when it was.
Vinny Testaverde.
It was Vinny Testaverde. Yep. And we went to the AFC Championship game. Anyway. All right. And I will tell you, I do not believe Aaron Rodgers will come back this year at all. I think this is all a smokescreen. I think this is to keep his – when you are a narcissist and you want to be in the spotlight at all times, you bring yourself into the spotlight at all times. And I think he just continuously finds a way to bring himself into that spotlight. And first it was with the vaccine, and then it was I was immunized, and then you made a big deal about that, and then you were coming to the Jets, so you were in the spotlight. Then you tore your Achilles, and it's like, shit, I'm not in the spotlight. And now it's, oh, I may come back. I may come back. First of all, if the Jets are 4-7, I don't want them coming back.
No, what's the point?
Right, exactly. So that's number one. Okay. And then you have New England. New England didn't have injuries. They just suck. I mean, they are so –
Is that your professional opinion after 11 years?
That's my professional opinion after just watching them on Sunday. I mean, I watched this game. They played – I know you didn't catch it, 9:30 in the morning, right? And the entire week I was jonesed up for a 9:30 in the morning Sunday game because for some reason I had in my cockapony mind that I was going to be watching Kansas City. I have no idea why I said I was going to be watching Kansas
because
City.
they had played Miami the prior week at 9:30.
Right, but I thought I was going to watch them again for some reason. And then all of a sudden I tune on and I'm like, well, we got Mac Jones. Yay. I mean, they have Minshew. Yay. The battle of awful quarterbacks. Let's see how this plays out. Seth, they have no talent on that team. That team is awful.
Belichick, the GM, has not helped Belichick, the coach.
Belichick, the coach, sucks too. Belichick, the coach, had a chance to win the game and benched Mac Jones for a ice-cold Bailey Zappi, who threw a pick into quadruple coverage on the first pass of the game for him. No. Like, there's only a certain amount of points in which you no. Okay. Moving on.
So is Bill Belichick gone after this year?
Yes. I'm surprised Bill Belichick is not gone this week.
I think it's very difficult to fire Bill Belichick in the middle of a season. Based on
if you're Bob Kraft, do you care?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of relationship they have.
I mean, I think the only thing that you care about is if you can extort some value for him, right? So if you're the Washington, whatever you call them, the commies, and you are going to fire Ron Rivera, you trade for Bill Belichick because that would be a stamp, right, on that team.
Does New England trade for Vrabel?
I think if given the opportunity, they would. I would love to see a three-way trade where Ron Rivera comes to New England, comes to Tennessee, Vrabel goes to New England, and Belichick comes to Washington. That would be, and a couple of draft choices mixed in there too, because that's just chaos on a coaching level, and we've never seen that happen. So why not? Remember, coaches, ladies and gentlemen, coaches have been traded for in the past. John Gruden extracted 2 first-round picks. Chuck Tanner, I believe, was one of the first ones. He was traded for Manny Singine.
Did we just change to baseball?
We did. I'm just picking guys that were traded. They were actually managers traded for each other. Leo DeRocher, I think, was one of them. Hold on.
I don't think so. I know what you're talking about. I don't think it was Leo DeRocher.
It may not have been. Oh, so Ozzie Guillen was traded, right? So here we go. So Ozzie Guillen. Yeah, so there were 2 coaches that were traded. So these are the coaches that were traded. In the MLB, Lou Piniella was traded for Randy Wynn. Chuck Tanner, yes.
Nice pull. I did not know that one.
Was traded for who? Manny Seguin.
Manny Seguin? Really?
Yeah. Joe Gordon was traded for Jimmy Dykes in a swap of managers.
That's the one I knew of, but I wouldn't have remembered that.
In 2001, John Gruden was traded for first and seconds in '02, and a first in '03, and a second
Jesus.
in '04.
Good God.
By the way, do you care if you're Tampa Bay because you won a Super Bowl?
No.
Right. Okay. Bill Belichick obviously was traded for a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a seventh-round pick from the Jets.
Yep.
And Bill Parcells was traded, which I didn't remember this. The Patriots received third and fourths
From Dallas.
from the Jets. So the Jets took Parcells from New England, and the Patriots received the Jets third and fourth in '97, a second in '98, and a first in '99.
Wow. I don't remember that at all.
And then the Heat, in switching to the NBA, traded Stan Van Gundy to the Magic for a second-round pick in '07 and another one in '08, and second-round picks in the NBA don't matter at all. So nobody cares. So anyway, I'd like to see a three-way trade. Okay, Baltimore, probably one of the few teams that has not had a major injury.
Well, Beckham's been hurt.
Well, if you wanted to say Dobbins was a major injury, that happened in week 1.
Yeah.
But that's been it. I mean, they've been relatively pain-free, and they are 7-3. And to me, that's a very surprising 7-3.
It is. Because Jackson, it's interesting. The names you're hearing for the MVP have not been overwhelmingly dominant. Lamar Jackson has not been overwhelmingly dominant like he was when he won a prior MVP. Mahomes has not been dominant. CJ Stroud's been sensational. I just don't see him winning the MVP this year. I mean, the people who've been dominant have really been A.J. Brown and Tyreek Hill.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. And Pittsburgh 6-3.
How?
Also, somehow, but also has basically. I mean, you lost Kenny Pickett for a game, but overall they have avoided the injury bug. That's how. But they have not. This may be Mike Tomlin's best performance.
I can see that. I mean, this team has de minimis talent offensively. The quarterback who has not lived up to expectations, a running back who has not lived up to expectations, okay wide receivers. They don't score. They don't get yards, but they win. So
Najee Harris has 464 yards. He's leading the team. He's got 464 yards on 116 carries, which is ridiculous.
It's like 4 yards a carry. Why is that?
I mean, look, they have good wide receiver depth. They really do. And Deontay Johnson was out for a couple of games. But between Pickens and him and Allen Robinson, maybe that's where they've been winning. Because truth be told, I haven't watched them very much. But their defense has been very good. Somehow they are – I mean, this just tells the story that they have scored 156 points and they've given up 182. They have a minus 26 point differential and they're 6-3. I don't know how that works. Okay, the Browns. Well, could you be any more like just hit by injuries than losing your number one running back in like week 4? Well, we did that. And your number one quarterback in week 10. Oh, wait, we did that too. And so we've been just as mistaken by injuries as they have. But they have a plus 44 point differential. They are 4-2 in conference, which goes very well for tiebreakers. And they're 6-3. Do I think that they can win this division? Absolutely not. Could they sneak in as a wild card? That defense is good enough to do that, Seth.
It is, but you're depending on Dorian Thompson, PJ Walker, because they don't have a dominant running back. And their quarterback, their receivers, I mean, Amari Cooper's okay. I don't even know who their number 2 is. And Njoku's their tight end is okay.
By the way, wouldn't it have been nice to have Josh Dobbs right about now? I mean, they
To have
traded
who?
him.
To have who?
Josh Dobbs. I mean, they traded Josh
Yeah.
Dobbs in the preseason to Arizona.
Yeah. Who would have known?
Who would have known? The Bengals, look, you lost. You had a Burrow minus Burrow for 4 games, right, with the calf. They lost last week in a game that they should not have lost to Houston. But before that, they had won 4 in a row. They are 4-1-1 in their last 5. The problem with them is they are 1-4 in the conference. So they're 5-4 overall, but 1-4 in the conference. And for tiebreakers, that is going to kill them. Absolutely going to kill them.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this schedule.
Well, it's all in the division, right? I mean, basically at this point.
No, not really. I mean, they played half of their division games, but actually no, they still have to play the Steelers twice. So
They got the Ravens, the Steelers, the Jags. Those are 3 really hard games.
I don't think the Steelers at home should be a hard game. I don't.
Indy away, Indy at home.
Indy at home.
Game. Minnesota at home should be a decent game. I mean, not, and then Pittsburgh away in week 16, and then Kansas City away in week 17. Except you're 1-4 in conference. Let's assume you lose. Are you taking them to beat Baltimore on Thursday in Baltimore this week?
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, so let's call it a win. So you're 2-4 in conference. You're beating the Steelers 3-4 in conference. I'm giving them a loss at Jacksonville. So that means
I would give them a win at Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't beat anybody good.
Well, if that's the case, then they can win 6 straight games. It's possible, right? 5 until you go to Pittsburgh, and 4 of those are in conference. So if that's the case, you're back up to 5-4 in conference if you can do that.
Yeah, and you're 9-4, 10-4 total, and you're not worried because you're gonna make the playoffs.
Well, you have to make the playoffs based on conference record at that point. Do you think that you're right, if they win 5 in a row, yeah, they're 10-4, and then you really don't have to worry about it. Yep, you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they end up going somewhere around 10-7, 11-6, which is not, they're 5-4 now. So I mean, if they're going to go 5-2 or 5-2, 4-3 the rest of the year, not an overwhelming.
No, you're right.
Or I guess there's 6 games left. 8
look,
games left.
If they win 2, if they beat Pittsburgh twice, they jump Pittsburgh in the standings, and then you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I think they end up going 6-2 or 5-3 for the last 8 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And look, they've beaten the Chiefs 3 out of 4. I mean, look, they're still my Super Bowl team. And then maybe that's why I'm backing them here.
Well, I had them in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah. I do not want to play them in December. I don't. Short of Chase getting hurt or Burrow getting hurt, they're still the team I don't want to play.
I'll go give you the other one. I don't think it's not. Look, Chase is important, but you have Boyd and you have Higgins. It's Joe Mixon. You lose that running back. There's nobody behind him. That's it.
Yeah, but all the running backs are utterly replaceable.
Okay.
Unless it's McCaffrey, excuse me. I mean, how many running backs have really not been replaceable this year? Running backs have been awful. Chubb was wonderful.
Eckler has not been replaceable in
fantasy purposes. But I mean, San Diego. The Chargers just shoot themselves in the foot every single week.
You want to know somebody that can't be replaced? You're gonna laugh. It's Javonte Williams, because McLaughlin they don't win with, and Javonte has been running like crazy. They've won 3 in a row, and he's been running well. And they've been waiting for him to come back, and he finally has. So I would say him. I'd say DeAndre Swift. You need to be running pretty well to win in that offense. Now, granted,
I think DeAndre Swift is utterly replaceable by any of them. By Gainwell, by Scott. I mean, Penny, we have no idea because Penny.
How about David Montgomery?
Jahmyr Gibbs had I think 170 yards 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and they lost.
No, they won that one.
Oh, that's on the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Kamara.
You want to say Eddie N's not replaceable? Fine.
Kamara
was out the first 3 weeks.
Right.
They survived. They survived.
They're 5-5.
Kamara's been really good this year.
Yeah. Okay. So Kenneth Walker, they don't win when Walker doesn't do well. So okay. Anyway, so moving on. So Jacksonville 6-3. No, really no injuries to speak of. Houston, the surprise, right? Surprise of all surprises.
It's absolutely stunning.
5-4. And their wide receiver crew, Tony Dell.
Tank Dell.
Tony Dell was a NBA player. Tank Dell.
No, that was Tony Delk.
That
was Tony Delk.
I'm sorry, I took the K from the first name and put it on the last name.
I think Tony O'Dell was an actor from Head of the Class. You have to look that one up.
And then Indianapolis at 5-5. They lost their quarterback. I mean,
and they lost their running back for half.
Yeah. And the Titans have lost their quarterback. We don't know where Derrick Henry has gone. He's been kind of MIA. 14.
The nation turns its lonely eyes to him.
At 3-6, in the middle of what will probably be a full rebuild for that team. Kansas City 7-2. They just can't lose Mahomes
or Kelsey.
Yeah. The Raiders 5-5. Surprise to me at 5-5, second in that division. And,
confusing to me. They're not good.
Well, neither are the Chargers and neither are the Broncos, so that's why they're there. And the Chargers can't lose Eckler. They've lost Mike Williams, right? They can't lose Keenan Allen more than anybody. I don't know, Seth. It's like Keenan Allen's on our team and he gets hurt every week. Keenan Allen goes elsewhere and he's healthy every game, and he pulls down like 20 catches. He may be the most underrated wide receiver in football. Is Keenan?
He may be the most underrated wide receiver of the last 15 years.
It's possible. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Who the hell knows? I mean, the problem is it's hard to gauge wideouts because all of them have so many. Who are you going to compare him to? Don Maynard? The leagues are so different. It's hard to differentiate. I don't think so.
So Keenan Allen has 869 catches right now.
Oh, he's going to break 1,100, 1,200 catches. But, neither of us are big Hall of Fame guys. And was he at any point one of the 3 or 4 best receivers in football?
No, that's what I was asking. Okay, and the Broncos on the 3-game winning streak behind Russ is finally cooking have probably put a kibosh for now on getting rid of Russ Wilson at the end of the year, which is ultimately scary. And probably the reason is because they're too good and they can't get the replacement. Okay, moving to your AFC East. The Eagles have not had an injury. Not one. Not a singular injury. And guess what? They're 8-1. But they are on a collision course with the Dallas Cowboys in 4 weeks. So if you look at the schedules of these two teams, the Eagles right now are 8-1. They play on, I have it up, at Kansas City this Sunday, this Monday night, which is the best Monday night game of the year. At home against Buffalo, at home against San Fran. So let's give them 2-1. They'll lose one of those games. So they are 10-2 going into December 10th against the Cowboys. Okay? The Cowboys are 6-3. And they go right now at Carolina. That's a win. Right? We're
yes.
There. Home against Washington. Let's call it a win. And I'm sorry. The Eagles have a bye in there somewhere. No, it's 3 games. Sorry, and then home against Seattle. They could potentially take all 3 of those games.
Yeah, but it's the same discussion every year. It's very simple. Dallas is going to be the top wild card, most likely.
Yeah.
Look,
because
they'll probably lose at Buffalo.
Suck.
What'd you say?
Because the other 2 teams in the division suck.
Okay, we're cursing a little too much on this show. But yeah. I mean, they stink, and so they're going to be 11-5 or 11-6 or whatever, 12-5, whatever it is. They play at the Bills, they play the Eagles, they play at the Dolphins, they play the Lions. They'll win 2, lose 2, something along those lines. And the big question is, what happens in the playoffs? They haven't proven they can beat the Eagles. They haven't proven they can beat San Francisco. And if you don't think San Francisco is going to turn this around in the next couple of weeks, give me a break.
I already think they did last week.
Yeah, I mean, kind of my point. So I'm not really worried about, they destroyed Jacksonville. I forgot. And they're playing, they play the Buccaneers. The Seahawks are a decent team. They have some tough games in their schedule, but look, it's still Philly and San Francisco and then everybody else.
But okay, so if you go into week 14 and you're Dallas at home, it's a 7:20 Sunday night game. It's the 8:00 game. And you beat Philly at home. You are now in first place and control your destiny the entire way. And Dallas then plays at Buffalo, probably a loss, or at Miami, probably a loss. One of those 2 is probably a loss. Detroit at home, and then at Washington. It's not like they have they have a decent schedule.
Actually, you just named 4 games, and 3 of them are pretty decent teams. And the 4th one is a division game. So, fine. Let's say they go 12-5.
Okay, to be fair, I did not look at the Eagles' schedule, which has the Giants 2 out of the last
twice in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, that's
did
a
not
thing.
Look at that.
So let's take a step back here.
Yeah.
Dallas beats the Eagles for the division. They're the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Do you see them beating San Francisco or Philadelphia in an NFC title game, regardless of where? Because I don't. We have this discussion every year for the last 3 freaking decades.
I was wondering how far you were going to go back.
They were the 1 seed the year the Giants won the Super Bowl. The Giants went to Dallas when Romo was at his peak.
Yep.
And beat them.
Yep.
They went, they were at home against San Francisco. Couldn't run a 2-minute offense to save their life.
Wait, so what? So you're comparing a team that's 30 years ago or 20 years ago?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying is this. No, to compare them to the 1995 Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But the whole point is, it's like listening to people talk about Notre Dame. Go to a BCS.
Come on,
go to a playoff. Go to an NFC title game. Get there. We're not talking that they've made the NFC title game 3 years in a row and lost like Green Bay did with Rodgers. Or was it 5 out of 6 in the NFC title game? We're talking they've never even made it. They don't win any playoff games.
Okay.
Beat San Francisco, beat Philly in a playoff game. Then we can talk. Until then, what are we talking about? How many playoff games has Prescott won? 1?
Yep.
So why am I I can't have this discussion. They have no running game at all. So we're literally depending on CeeDee Lamb.
So hold on. With that in mind, let's play what you just said, okay? So you're telling me basically there are only 2 teams in the NFC that we can talk about as winning. Because Seattle hasn't won anything with Geno Smith. right? Geno Smith hasn't won a damn thing in his entire career. He has not won.
But Geno Smith's also only been there 2 years.
No, but
How
you're
long has Dak
taking
been
a
there
whole
for?
franchise, Seth. You're
Franchise
taking-
won years ago. We won a Super Bowl. Like,
No, but my point is, you're taking a franchise. You are doing a comparison from 30 years ago.
No. I threw a random number out there.
But
Dak
even
Prescott
20
has
or
been-
10, you went.
Dak Prescott has been their quarterback for 6 years,
Yes,
give or take.
sure.
How many playoff games has Dak Prescott
He's
won?
won one.
How many times has Dallas been arguably the better team in the playoff game?
Since Prescott has come?
More than one.
Okay, let's say more than one.
So their running game is not as good as it used to be. Their offensive line is not as good as it used to be. They have a stud number 1 wide receiver, but Brandon Cooks, who we both have had man crushes on in the past, has not been great other than last week's debacle.
So last year they went 12-5. They were second in the NFC East.
Right.
And they lost in the division. So they won one game, right? In the playoffs last year.
I think so.
1-1. Right. No, I'm looking at it. I'm just telling you. The year before they go 12-5 and they lose in the wild card. The year before that, they go 6-10, do not make the playoffs. Year before then, they go 8-8, do not make the playoffs. The year before that, 2018, they actually won another playoff game. They went 1-1 and lost. So he's won 2.
Okay.
The year before that, they go 9-7, and again, don't make the playoffs. So if you're looking at the last 6 years, they've only made the playoffs 3 times, and they've only lost in the wild card once.
Fine. I lose my argument. Would you take them over San Francisco or
No, but I wouldn't take. But truth be told, on a neutral field, I wouldn't take Philly over San Francisco
That's neither here nor there.
right now.
I wouldn't, if everybody's healthy and depending on how Purdy's playing, I wouldn't either. That's why I had Cincy and San Francisco in my Super Bowl. But Dallas, every year we hear this is Dallas's year. How many times have we heard this? And again, this is the problem with sports media because they puff up the big teams, the big name teams, and that's why I compare them to Notre Dame. Because every year Notre Dame is on the precipice of this and the precipice of that, and Notre Dame hasn't done diddly for the most part. And look, I don't base it on winning a Super Bowl. I don't base it on winning a national championship. But at what point does Prescott, who I love, by the way, I'm a huge Prescott fan. He has an $160 million deal. Again, not comparable to what we're looking at now.
That's not fair. That's
No.
to me, that's not fair. You can't say just because somebody earns a lot of money.
Fine. At what point, who is responsible for them losing the last 2 years?
Well, okay. Well, let's look at what Prescott did in the playoffs, right? I mean,
You want to blame McCarthy? Then they should have fired McCarthy.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I think they should never
you
have
think-
fired
Has
McCarthy.
Tony Pollard been a number 1 running back for them this year?
No, Pollard's been horrendous, and I've had him in all my
Okay.
leagues.
So let's talk this.
Horrendous.
Let's extrapolate this out. So their running game has been subpar.
Yep.
Their offensive line is good, but it's not what it's been the last couple of years. Just players have gotten older. There's been a little injuries. CeeDee Lamb has been sensational in the last month.
Yes.
But to be fair, he also played against some really crappy teams.
Yes.
Let's see what happens when he's playing against Darius Slay. But we are, now the defense is really good, but Diggs is out for the year.
Yeah. So Dak Prescott's playoff averages. His passer rating is 92.3. Who knows what the hell that means? He's completed 63% of his passes, averaged 390 yards in the air, has averaged 2.8 touchdowns and 1.3 interceptions.
He's averaged 390 yards.
389 yards.
In what playoff? Over all of his playoff games combined?
Over all his playoff games. According to this, I don't know how that's possible. That can't be possible.
Come on. That's not right.
Hold on. Oh, I think
Unless there was,
I think they missed. Hold on. I think they missed the game. So hold on a second. Let me do the math. 302 plus 492 plus 254 plus 511 divided by 6. Why did that not happen? 15. Hold on. I got it. 1559 divided by 6. 259 yards. Yeah, they missed the game. They divided it by 5, not by 6.
I mean,
Yep.
look, I really am a big fan of Prescott, but the team this year, I just don't think is good. I don't think you're well-rounded enough. I don't know why that's, I think San Francisco, if Purdy holds up, is the most well-rounded team in the NFC.
Yes.
I don't think it's close.
Yes.
I shouldn't say that. Philly, DeAndre Swift has been pretty good. Hurts can run the ball. Their offensive line is stellar. A.J. Brown has somehow taken another step up, which is weird to me.
Well, and Devon Smith has taken a step down.
Yeah, I just don't think he's gotten the ball as much.
Right.
But
well, that's where it is, right? I mean, you get
I
the
don't
ball.
think anyone's concerned about Devontae Smith.
No, Devontae Smith is a great number 2.
Right. Goddard is a good tight end. I just think they're a better team. I think San Francisco's a better team. I think Philly's a better team. And
I think what I was saying, Seth, is that if you're going down the road that you're going down, where it is you haven't won a playoff game in X amount of time, and the quarterback has not performed well in X amount of time, you are limiting your analysis to probably 4 teams in the entire NFL.
Fine. Perfectly valid. Because you're limiting yourself to Hurts, who only played in 1 playoff, so that's even harder to gauge.
Yep.
Burrow.
Yeah, you're taking out San Francisco too, right? Because you can't put Purdy in there.
And you're taking out Baltimore.
Baltimore would be the one that I was thinking you might keep it. Like they were actually, I was thinking Baltimore, the Cowboys, and Buffalo, and that may be it.
No, you're including Allen, you're including Burrow, you're including Mahomes, you're including Hurts. But
you just said Hurts has 1 game, so one
series.
So how do you include him?
Okay, so then I guess the question is, where do we go from? Where do you see Dallas going? Do you see Dallas?
Well, I agree with you. My point was that this whole thing started with you're going to see teams that are going to be 10-2 and 11-1 potentially on a Sunday night game in 3 weeks. That's where I started with this.
Right. And to me, until Dallas beats Philly or San Francisco in a playoff game, I don't believe they're going to beat them in a playoff game.
Okay, fair enough. And so you have more confidence in Brock Purdy than you do in Dak Prescott.
I have more confidence.
If you say Zach Wilson, then I'm going to just laugh. So
no, that's moronic. I have more confidence in McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Samuel.
I agree with that.
Than I do in CeeDee Lamb and Kittle than I do in CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, and Jake Ferguson.
That's fair.
But yes, the best way for Dallas to do this is Dallas should have won the game in Philly. There is no question Dallas should have won that game. That was incredible. It was a ridiculous game. But they didn't. And here we are again.
Yep.
Going down the only road we've ever known. And until we see something to the contrary, this is, Kansas City blew out Cincy in the AFC Championship last year. Cincy had beaten them previously. Buffalo lost to Kansas City in possibly the greatest playoff game since Miami, San Diego in 81. Now Buffalo doesn't seem like they've ever really recovered from that, unfortunately. And Buffalo looks terrible this year because they have no running game. And Allen's taking a step back. But they've won some games. I need to see Dallas beat a big time team in a big time game. Playoff or regular season.
It's fair. And we'll continue this up next week, but last 5 minutes, very quickly. We need to talk about the influence of Bobby Knight. We have not done that on this show, and we'll do that next week. The influence of certain college coaches, but two sports I wouldn't call them legends, but certainly legends to me. In some way, passed away in the last couple of weeks. One is Frank Howard, who was the first Met manager that I ever remember being on a baseball card in, I believe it was 1983. It was him and George Bamberger. I just remember baseball cards, right? That's what you get when you were a kid. And so Frank Howard was a 6'7", power, 250 pound, called the Washington Monument, played with the Senators and the Texas Rangers, and an underrated player because he played with such losing franchises over the course of his career. And so he passed away at the end of October. And then just this week, Peter Seidler. And you're going to say, who is Peter Seidler? Well,
he's the owner of the Padres.
The reason that the Padres spent money the last 4 or 5 years is because of Peter Seidler and him buying that team. He was the grandson of Walter O'Malley of the Dodgers, and he shaped this new look team. Unfortunately, this offseason, I think you're going to see some of that going away with the trading of Juan Soto and probably Blake Snell maybe not re-signing with that team. But it's unfortunate that, first of all, we know that he had twice successfully he came back from cancer. He underwent a procedure. Nobody has announced what he passed away from, but Peter Seidler passing away at 63. Seth, last 5 minutes, you got 2. Go.
Oh, that was such a happy.
I always bring the joy, my friend. I always bring
you do bring the joy. Now, what are your thoughts, I guess, on Ken Dorsey being fired from Buffalo?
Somebody was going to go. That's it. It's always the offensive coordinator. It's never the coach, and it's not a happy moment by any stretch. But look, if you're brought in as the quarterback guru, and your quarterback goes backwards, chances are you're not going to have a job very much longer. And that's what's happened, unfortunately, with them. I would like to say that I don't believe it's only Josh Allen. I don't believe it's only the running game. We talked about this earlier in the broadcast. Their defense is taking a step back, my friend. And when you lose the best 2 players on your defense, that's going to happen, especially the 2 quarterbacks of that defense. They got back Micah Hyde this year, but when you lose your all-pro corner into Various White and your all-pro middle linebacker, who is the leader of that defense in Matt Milano, you can't expect the same results. It's just not going to happen. All right. For Seth Kamens, this is Sean Palmer. This has been a great show, and we will catch you next week for our Thanksgiving Day broadcast. See you, everybody.